but I think it's more that if we're going to turn around and be committed to a meditation practice and move through those layers of individuality and the relative and all those things and all the storyline and all the identity, and having sort of moved through that to sit with our pure conscious experience during meditation, then when we open our eyes, that's as authentic a version of yourself as there is.
Yeah, that's a really good point for people, I think, Nicho, because the sitting of meditation is the practice to be more mindful, but that needs to, the purpose of it is to show up in how we behave day to day and the shifts that we make. And it's not the 20 minutes or the 30 minutes that you sit, that if you do a good sit, or if you feel like you meditated well, but you're 20 minutes later you're acting completely out of who you want to be, then the practice is not really serving itself. It's every interaction and meeting and chat and behaviour that connects to each other that actually shapes who you are.
It does, but I also think that we still have to be comfortable with those moments when we are stressed and we are tired and we are this and we are that. That's what happens when the human nervous system has to run through this ever increasingly and challenging world. You know what I mean? And of course we're going to get tired, and of course our adaptation levels are going to be lower, and that's fine. I think a regular meditator is somewhat defined by how quickly they might bounce back from a stressful situation. Or if maybe someone who doesn't meditate finds themselves heavily impacted emotionally and somewhat depressed for a few days, maybe someone who starts meditating will notice that those heavy periods are for 2 days and then 1 day, and then it's more just a few hours. And if someone who came into a stressful situation used to overreact and then get a bee in their bonnet for a day, they might find that as a regular meditator, their recovery is so much better. They might go, wow, I really got dragged in the front of my conscious cinema over that comment.
Yep.
But I've forgotten about it. And our lady be like, oh, wow, I've recovered quickly.
Mm.
And so I don't think we're trying to avoid stressful situations. They go all around us, but we have to trust that we can engage in a way that, yes, will be more objective.
Yep.
But we're not going to take on, the impact of that on our nervous system will be less, which means we actually clear it out and we're ready for the next experience.
Yeah.
Stress is a really, really important human condition. You need to get stressed to run, fight, flight. There's all sorts of stuff that stress response is designed for. The problem is we're kind of doing it the whole time because we're flicking through our phone.
Yep.
Or whatever it might be. So it's about our recovery. We're not going to turn around and say that we're just some big, broad, enlightened people who, don't get cranky sometimes. But if we do, it's short, sharp, and all over.
Yeah, I think that's you've really articulated that well, because there's no perfection, and you don't want perfection because that's the human experience. Yeah.
In fact, the comments we talked about before, if you're sitting there sort of just all woohoo and perfect, people's going to go, I can't do that. If you're happy to share, how you might feel about things, or show, a whole bunch of parts that make up your character and personality, people say, okay, well, as a regular meditator, I really like the certain things and how they can, these parts of it, but they're also happy to say how, they're a bit tired and those sorts of things, and, someone just annoyed them.
And do you think, Nicho, that's a bit of what you're saying, you've really said it well, is when, you hear teachers and people talk about self-awareness and the importance of self-awareness, is that self-awareness to understand, oh, hang on, I am tired, or I did go off at the kids for that. But the self-awareness then to reflect and come back to say sorry, or to ground yourself back and faster. Like, so you're not holding on to it for 2 days. Within 10 minutes, you're back saying to the little boy or the boy, hey, sorry about that.
Exactly.
How are you? And that's what we're trying to get out of this whole thing.
Yes, I think that's very good. It's like, okay, I responded in a certain way, and then you can turn around and say, okay, let's say, yeah, exactly right. Forgive me for that. I was just, overwhelmed by something. And so we can immediately turn around and just self-refer on it and have a conversation. I don't know who it is. It's one of those big meditation teachers who says, no matter how enlightened you might feel, try spending, 3 days with your family over Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was one of the very I think it's one of the big names. I can't think who it was, but someone says, well, okay, we all can act in a certain way, but also old patterns of behaviour that are often triggered by family and those types of things, we're probably going to find ourselves back in those, back in behaviours that just come from when we're kids. And there's all that sort of stuff that's so inbuilt. It goes back a long way.
Oh, mate, and I know for a fact, like I've... we live in a relatively small house, and I've got 5 kids, and they're quite young. So that, for me, the meditation, the mindfulness, the look in the mirror is how do I show up each day with those guys and give them the availability and the space? And as you said, I'm not perfect. Like I don't sit there and can just give them all time. I react and lose it sometimes. But my ability to be self-aware enough to then come back and be with them. And one of the biggest things that I've learned is, that in this is to say sorry, to apologise and to sincerely be wrong and show my kids that I am wrong sometimes and that I am sorry, that, in generations gone by that the parents or the elders didn't say sorry. It wasn't just a done thing that you just moved on and no one spoke about it, but to talk about why you're sorry or why you got it wrong and that everyone's going to do that. That's been one of the big shifts in our practice at home, is to really talk through that and for people to feel that and show vulnerability. Yeah,
I think children need to see that parents, that human emotions span the whole range, right? And that it's okay for a child to express frustration or whatever it might be, or that sometimes dad or mum get frustrated, but they also would notice that mum and dad bounce back pretty fast, and leave it behind rather than sort of brooding on it.
Yeah.
A child's able to express themselves and say, okay, well now, whatever, that nervous system's now, clear of that onto the next thing. So yeah, I think that's an important thing for our children. Not to feel that, I might feel this way, but I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, don't bottle it up. Like
don't bottle it up.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Five youngsters. That's busy.
Well, it's for me. It's like I don't get to go on retreat yet because I have got the kids, and I don't think it's fair that I go away for 2 weeks,
of course,
and leave my wife with the kids so I can go and do that. But I've almost resigned to that's probably as good a training as anyone's going to get. They're 12 and under, so they're still quite young, and there's still a lot happening every day in the house, and there's a lot of noise. But it's a great test of the practice that I'm doing and what I'm teaching to bring it to life in the day-to-day, which I think when I'm teaching people that's when you want it to really work and be beneficial. It's in the moment. It's not just here in yoga or in the meditation to nail it here. You've got to nail it in the day-to-day, and for me, that's when you sort of meet your maker.
Absolutely. Very true. I remember when I was younger and I was just starting to meditate, and if the kids, if the girls, maybe I'd get frustrated and they'd look at me and go, have you meditated today? And that was good feedback, because what they did see was that when I did meditate, they could sense that was a more relaxed version, whatever it might be. And then, of course, if they saw me getting frustrated, they'd be like, hang on. So they immediately made that connection between, meditation and dad being less responsive or less over-responsive. And so it was great, fantastic. And I'll be like, okay, yep, just sort of give me 20 minutes, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing feedback, really good feedback.
Yeah, well, and it's amazing exactly what you just said. It's amazing how they know. Like if they notice, they're so grounded and connected that they notice the slightest shift in moods and the slightest changes in the environment of the house that.
Yes.
They can say to you, but it feels safe to say to you, have you meditated yet? But imagine a house that doesn't have people that meditate, that has a lot of conflict and shifts in energy constantly, that they're still noticing all the shifts and they're picking up when there's tension in the room, but they can't say anything because, again, it's not safe to say it, and the parents aren't aware that they know about it. So you got this cyclone that continues to happen that affects the kids later on.
That's right, and those nervous systems can get a little bit overloaded with that stress, and that leads to all sorts of things. And so, we might see deep-rooted sort of patterns of behaviour get caught there. And yes, until they may be older, they might not have a practice and otherwise in a way to sort of get that sort of accumulated stress out of their nervous systems. So yeah, of course, us as parents meditating on those types of things is really it's important to try and bring that to children at a certain stage in their life, as early as possible.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, mate. Mate, we'll leave it there because it's been a great chat.
Really good chat. Thanks, Luke.
Just Edmund and Amelia, where can they find you on that, Nicho?
Yeah, that's edmundandamelia.com or on Instagram, Edmund and Amelia.
Yep, perfect.
And nichoplowman.com. That's where I do my, some of my teaching stuff's on there around courses. And of course, insighttimer.com's the app. So it's all there. On my Instagram page, Nicho Plowman, there's actually links to both of those as well.
Perfect, mate. Perfect. Mate, thanks for that. Really insightful and a great chat to get into what you do, but also, your thoughts and your lens on meditation and life and your story. So I really appreciate it.
Luke, thank you so much. Really appreciate you reaching out. It's been great to connect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, mate.
Thanks.